Hi,
So we're here at MSPO with our partners ST Antisip alongside other parts of the ST Antisip ecosystem, CogSim, with VR Forces very much the sort of flavour on the show, bringing live virtual constructive integration to the attention of the MSPO market and buyers. So we're showing Hive, our analytics platform, and we're showing Hive 2.4, which has been on release since IITSEC last year. It's our analytics platform designed to ingest data from a variety of different sources, live, virtual, and constructive, and in this case, with a particularly optimized version for VR Forces. So I'm going to talk about a few of the new features that we are bringing to bear with Hive, some of which is around better UI and UX, and some other aspects to make meta tagging of data easier, the way we handle and manage large data sets and discrete activities inside of large exercises or large experiments. So the heat map on the screen kind of speaks for itself in terms of experimentation, insofar as how might we get about presenting a large multi-run experiment. And in this case, we've got 28 runs up on the screen across 3 different tactical actions at brigade level. So quite a big data set to try and represent in one go. And we can go directly into any one of the experimental runs that this represents, either directly through the heat map or with a comparison using the NATO tactical functions side by side, and simply select the drop down to bring up which one of the runs we want to bring up to compare. But very much connected to how we might manage the representation of large data sets for experimentation, we probably want to be taking a similar approach to visualizing and representing large training data sets. And so exactly the same approach might work equally as well for land collector training, where on this view here, each of the columns represents a training environment, command and staff training, live simulation or virtual training, and the rows might indicate a number of battalions. So what we've got on the view here might also be 7 battalions or 7 brigades in each of the tactical actions that they are being measured against: obstacle crossing, offensive, and mobile defense in this case. So in thinking about how we put this data back in the hands of our users, we do tend to generate dashboards to meet a user requirement, but we also know that users don't always know what they want until they are in possession of the data and are seeing things for the first time. So we're moving in a direction to allow our users to take more control over their dashboards. And the example up here just gives you an indication of where we're headed. We can select a whole list of what we would call widgets down the left-hand side here, and drag those into place wherever we think they are going to be most effective in a dashboard. And we've kind of got a view here that has a 3-column view, and then below that a 2-column view, which the user can then move these panes up and down, widgets in and out to meet their immediate requirements. Obviously reflecting the fact that we're now getting Hive out into the hands of an increasingly wide array of customers. There are some obvious things that we need to attend to as well. So we've now got some support for changing languages. So we can go from UK, German, Dutch, and French. Whilst we tend to get through in VR Forces control measures into the simulation to which we can generate metrics against those control measures, that isn't always the case, and it isn't always the case for every simulation that we ingest data from. So we're taking an approach now to be able to allow the analyst, the user, to drop control measures, to drop geographical elements onto a display, for us then to be able to generate metrics against those elements. And the view on the screen here shows a set of phase lines, a set of areas, and it's as simple as going into a drop down adding more areas, in this case a polygon, and we can now measure time taken to clear that area, time taken for entities to enter that area or depart that area, which massively enriches the way in which we tackle measurement of collector training or unit level experimentation. Yes, so we've got a lot going on with the roadmap generally, and we'll be looking to deploy in the field a number of these changes through into our next release of Hive 2.5 into the autumn around IETSEC. But there's probably three things in particular just to bring out of this. We're trying to make it easier for the user. We're trying to make it less dependent on the involvement of an expert engineer, expert analyst, and so on. So that's probably the most critical thing. So the second one in this is very much about being able to tailor, about being able to personalize. We know that not all of the data represented at all times is immediately useful, immediately going to get traction with the after-action review audience or even with the analyst in experimentation. So it's about giving control back over to that, to make those sort of immediate changes, to bring to the forefront that which is going to have the most immediate impact. So I think both those two things kind of come together to be all about giving the customer the ability to generate these actionable insights. That's really where the rubber hits the road with all of this. Things that are going to have traction in the after-action review, things that are going to be exploitable, employable thereafter. And that might be the after-action review, it might be the analyst in the experimentation program, both of whom need surfaced the really raw insight in this and not have to find themselves wading through the